A very blessed day to you viewing this video. I'm introducing you to the sixth video of Prime World's Photoshop tutorials. And in today's video, we are going to be looking at the selection tools. We are going to be looking at the selection tools, starting with this particular one called the Lasso tool. As you can see, it has two other types of selection tools called the Polygonal Lasso tool and the Magnetic Lasso tool. They are also selection tools like we dealt with the previous tool called Rectangular Marquee tool. Now, as you can see this beautiful image of this lady shown in the screen, so we want to use this image to practice what we can do with using these selection tools. So starting with the first one, Lasso tool, called Lasso tool. This is the tool that you use if you want to carry out freehand selection. Freehand selection. So as you can remember from the previous tool we learned about creating a new selection, adding, subtracting and intersecting. So in case I wanted to do a freehand selection of this image, um I will just have to drag around the selection I want to make. So after I drag around the selection I want to make, like you can see on the screen, so I just need to drag around the selection, and after I've made my selection complete, it goes ahead to bring out the selection line. So I have actually selected what is inside this line, but it's clear that the selection is not neat at all. As you can see some spaces around here, and it's not really getting the exact points or edges that we are looking for. So using the lasso tool to make accurate selections is a no-go area. Please don't use it. So I'm going to press Ctrl D, or I go to the select menu and choose the select to make that the selection. The two best selection tools you can use if you want to select a portion of an image in a very accurate way is the Polygonal Lasso tool and the Magnetic Lasso tool. Personally, my favorite tool that I use to select images, portions of images very accurately is the Polygonal Lasso tool. So I'm going to look into that one last. But let's just go ahead and look at the Magnetic Lasso tool. So when I left click on it, all I need to do is make sure you set this to add selection, just in case you need to make an extra selection from what you started selecting. Okay, so make sure you set it to add selection, then you go to the edge where you want to start making your selection. I want to start from here, so I left click. Okay, then I keep dragging. Now as I drag, take note, like it's not getting it as I want it to, but from as the name implies, it's magnetic lasso tool, so it tries to magnet the edge, the edge of the selection of the part that you feel, that of the part that you want to select. It tries to select the edges by magneting the selection to it. As you see what it's doing now, it's magneting the selections to it while I take my while I drag my mouse cursor. Okay, so let me just undo this. Let me just undo this. And if I want to be more deliberate in my selection, all I need to do is left click. Okay, left click once, come here, just drag where I want it to be, keep dragging it where I want it to be, and click. Once it has dragged to a point, it insert that node by automatically, but you can insert it by yourself by left clicking once. Then you keep moving on, left click once, keep moving on, left click once, left click once. So you keep moving it this way. So it keeps magneting it the to the edges of the selection, as you see. So this is just how the magnetic lasso tool works. So I can, like I said earlier, left click to apply the node that you are seeing. If you don't do that, it will apply the node automatically. If you just keep moving the, now you see I needed to apply a node there so that it doesn't fall out. So I left click here to apply a node. So just like this, you keep moving it around. Okay, you keep moving it around. Okay, until you get the selected portion you are looking for. So let me just drag this down, insert a node here. No, come back here. Now I need to be inserting nodes at this bottom area so that it doesn't move up into the selection. So yeah, so you can see this is one way we can make a selection. So I want to show you the way I personally use, and which I feel is the best, because you have the most control over your selection process, is the polygonal lasso tool. All I need to do is just left click and just left click. When I reach a point where I feel I need to shift my direction, I left click. So I'm left clicking, okay, and dragging, left clicking and dragging. So this one gives you the most control. You are not limited by the magnetic nature of the magnetic lasso tool that magnets on the edges by itself. This one gives you the most control. You are very much in control of your selection, and for me I feel is the quickest. So all I'm doing is I'm dragging my mouse and left clicking on a particular point. I feel I need to change my direction afterwards. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm just specifying my selection. So I keep going, I keep going, I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. I drag my mouse, left click here, and I just need to drag it straight and left click here, then move it up and left click. Make sure everything joins up before the selection line shows. So you double click at the edge when it's about to join and the selection will show up. When you go to the joining part, you just double click. So as you can see, I've selected my image. Now there's something you need to know. You can also subtract from selection. What if maybe there was a space between her arms and her chest area, or the stomach area? What if there was space? So I could go ahead and choose subtract selection and just come here, drag where I want to subtract the selection from, and just join it. And you can see that this place will not be part of the selection, the whole selection. Okay, so let me undo that and just leave it like this, since there's no hole between her arms and her stomach and chest area. So Now there's something you need to understand. After you make your selection like this, you may need to refine your selection. Okay, in CX6 and below versions of Photoshop, they used to call the option refine edge. Take note of where my mouse is pointing. This option that says select and mask, they used to call it refine edge. So in case you have CX6 and below version of Photoshop, not the CC, I'm using the CC, Photoshop Creative Cloud CC version. So you come here and just left click on select and mask. It helps you to refine your current selection. So you can now, it gives you the opportunity to see how your selection will look like on a plain surface. So this is how my selection is looking like on a plain surface. It looks like I did quite a good job in my selection because it's looking very good on this plain surface. If you want to change the color of the surface, you can come to this option and just choose these different options. You can choose the one that says on layer, so without background, this is how it looks like. Black and white, this is how it looks like. On white, this is how it looks like. On black, this is how it looks like. Overlay, this is how it looks like. Matching ants, it's more or less how it was before we enter the select and mask um window. So let me leave it to on white. So in case your selection is looking a bit jagged, you could touch some things here. You could come here and just increase the radius a bit. Okay, you may not really notice what is happening, but in case your selection, the edges were looking a bit jagged, you can increase the radius and to try and smoothing that those edges for you. You can go ahead and check on smart radius, and you can also change the smooth value. If I increase the smooth value very well, notice what happens. Now you may not really notice it on camera, but you will notice that if you apply it, you will notice that these edges have become smoother. So in some of your selections, the edges may look a bit jagged and too sharp. You could use this smooth option to just smoothing things out so that your selection will blend with the new environment you want to take it to. Okay, so you can adjust that. For me, I don't think I need, for because I've done a quite good job with this selection, so I don't think I need any of these ones. There's also the feather option. The feather option, do you see what it's doing to the selection? Do you notice the effect it's having on it? So the more you increase the feather option, the more it gives it this whitish inner glow. Okay, and in some cases, the environment you want to place your selection in will really blend when you put this feather effect, but you have to put it in a slight way. Okay, very slightly. Okay, not too much, just very slightly, and it helps your image really blend with the new environment you want to take it to. We still have contrast and the contrast option. You could apply it and you will be seeing the effect, okay, while you apply it, okay, to your best taste. Now shift edge, this is just when the selection you've made, you want to shift it whether inside more or outside more. So if I shift this to +32, it will select outside more of the parts outside my initial selection. If I shift it below, it will select less of the parts that are before my initial selection. So let me just leave it, let me just take this back to 0. Okay, so this is what you can do to just refine your selection. Then you now press OK. So having done that, you can now go ahead changing your selection to the move tool. You can now go ahead to drag your selection and place it wherever you want to place it. For instance, I want to place it on this already designed work here. I want to place it here. I want an image to show here, like a biography design. Okay, so I come here and I press Ctrl T to transform my object. Hold down Alt and Shift to drag it, okay, to make it bigger, and just place it somewhere like this, something like this. So yeah, so I could choose to just increase it a bit more, bring this down a bit more. I kind of like this overlapping stuff here, so I just press enter. So this is more or less how you can use the selection tools, polygonal lasso tool, magnetic lasso tool, and the freehand lasso tool. So you can go ahead and practice your